Hi, kids. How are ya? Happy Friday, 23rd day of August, 2019. Almost forgot what year it was. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Happy Friday. You know the rules around here on Fridays. We put together a 5-star show for you. Mondays, we're here and we're working, but we kind of just slide through the day, cut out early, go golfing. Tuesdays, well, same as Mondays. Wednesday's a little bit better. Thursday, we lean forward, try a little harder, and finally on Friday, the whole package comes together, and we give you a 5-star show. Whenever our checker is on this program, that's almost a guaranteed 5-star show kind of a situation. Our checker, of course, is the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. We'll be televising Wenatchee Wild Hockey games again this year, and we dropped by to visit with Arch at the Talent Toyota Center a couple of days ago because the team's on the road today. They got their first preseason games, as a matter of fact, tonight. They're going to be up in Canada over the weekend. They're getting ready for Wenatchee Wild Hockey. Second half of the program, the lovely and talented Art Checker will be joining us to talk about Wild Hockey. We're getting ready to go for year 12 of Wenatchee Wild Hockey. Outside of that, the usual shenanigans apply. We got sports coming your way, more previewing of the upcoming prep football season from the Columbia Basin Big Nine. Who's favored to win? We'll hear from Coach Don of Eastmont High School and Coach Devereaux from Wenatchee High School. Plus, we'll preview the weekend Mariner series with the Toronto Blue Jays, and of course the Seahawks are on the road for exhibition game number 3, or is it preseason? What does the NFL call it? Games that don't count. There, that's what we'll call it. They're down in lovely Carson, California, to take on the Chargers. We'll preview that as well. Plus, we have the news, and there's a lot of news to get to. We'll have the weekend events coming up. It's something we do every Friday. If you haven't made any plans yet, we'll plant a little seed there, perhaps. The obscure holiday. Today in history, birthdays, and everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. And we're in for a very lovely weather forecast, too. Oh, before I forget, spent yesterday up in Waterville. I went up to the NCW Fair in Waterville, took our camera, interviewed a bunch of people, talked to tons of people, had a really good time. The entertainment was great. It has that Mayberry feel to it, Waterville does. Talked to a lot of people who watch this very television station. That was flattering. Now we have to do better, of course, now that we know that people are watching. Anyway, head on up to the fair. Today is day number 2. Of course, the headliner, the big thing today is the Craig Morgan concert tonight at the fairgrounds. So head on up to the NCW Fair in Waterville. You're going to be spending the whole day there because there's so much to do. Anyway, thanks for the fairgrounds folks for allowing me to come up, and they put up with my shenanigans, and I appreciate that. 3 minutes after the hour on this Friday, let's go around the valley with our Valley View cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless setup. The cross camera is zoomed in. The Senator George Seller Bridge and the pedestrian pipeline bridge take center stage this morning. So we're zoomed in a little bit. The mighty Columbia, the lifeblood of north central Washington, doing its job and doing it well. Good morning, East Wenatchee. Good morning, Wenatchee. Thanks for starting your day with us. That's a good-looking shot from what we call the cross camera, of course, because it's located adjacent to the cross at the tip of Wenatchee Heights. From this point forward, it's a team effort. It is Megan and Malcolm, the M&M twins, deciding what camera we're going to go to. And we're off to see the Wizard. No, we're off to see Rock Island. Good morning, Rock Island. By the way, Redneck Day is coming up next month in Rock Island. Yeah, that's what they call it, Redneck Day. I don't know why. Good morning, Rock Island. You can see Jump Off Ridge, obviously, to the left. We have a camera on Jump Off Ridge as well. As you know, that's way up there, overlooking Rock Island. The golf course is looking good. I got to go pay that golf course another visit. They keep it in really good shape. It's a fun course to play. Camera number 3, where are we off to? We are off to see the Omi Gardens camera. Oh me, oh my, it's Omi Gardens. Absolutely one of the crown jewels of north central Washington. We went and filmed, of course, an interview with the Friends of the Gardens. We talked to Sally Brawley and Bonnie Orr and Jason Browning, who's, of course, in charge of Omi Gardens. And as we were leaving, packing up our gear, a nice couple came in. They paid their admission fee, and we're going to go tour and walk around Omi Gardens and enjoy the beauty and the tranquility of Omi Gardens. It's just a good place to hit Control-Alt-Delete. And I was talking to the gentleman. He said, I've lived in Wenatchee for 35 years. I had never been to Omi Gardens. And he picked a good day to go to. This is a good time to go to Omi Gardens because it's sunny and it's warm, but it's not too hot. Good view from our Omi Gardens camera. And camera number 4, a slow dissolve to Bill E. Goat USA. Alta Lake is in your lower right-hand corner of your screen, right next to our NCW Life channel bug. And it looks like there's a couple of bugs on the actual camera itself. There's a few high clouds, and there's a reason there's a few high clouds. The jet stream is a little out of kilter. Normally the jet stream goes up and through British Columbia and dips back down in eastern Montana, but it's actually right over the top of our state. So it's going to usher in just a few high clouds. It's also going to make things a little breezy this weekend. So that's why we see those high clouds up in the upper part of our viewing area, with Pateros and Brewster in sight. Bridgeport, of course, around the corner. You can't make out Bridgeport. Nice view there. That camera is zoomed back just a little bit, and we say good morning to our friends in Billigo. All right, that's our tour around the valley, north central Washington. And it's 6 minutes after the hour from the National Weather Service. What does the forecast look like? Quite a bit of sunshine. Again, as I mentioned before, the jet stream is a little out of whack. It's not where it's supposed to be. So it's going to be ushering in a few high clouds at times, especially tonight and especially on Saturday. It's also going to make things a little windy, especially tonight and Saturday. So for today, quite a bit of sunshine. We'll top off about 83 or 84 degrees. Yesterday we hit 84, which is just about normal. Mostly cloudy tonight. Again, that jet stream is going to usher in a few clouds. We'll dip down to about 60. Northwest wind about 10 to 14 miles an hour. Saturday looking pretty good. Quite a bit of sunshine, just a few high clouds, but it's going to be breezy tomorrow. A northwest wind 14 to 22 miles an hour. Gusts around 30 miles an hour at times on Saturday, and that's for the Wenatchee Valley. So if you're heading up to the fair in Waterville, of course, Waterville has a tendency to be a little bit cooler and certainly a little breezier. So you're going to find somewhat windy conditions in Waterville on Saturday. Just want to give you a heads up on that. Little residual wind on Saturday night, overnight low right around 59 or so. Sunday looking good, sunshine, about 85, 89 on Monday. We're setting up for a warming trend. High pressure will be building over the Wenatchee Valley and all of the Pacific Northwest on Sunday, and so we're going to warm right back up to upper 80s to lower 90s by the time we get to the early part of next week. So again, the story over the weekend, just a couple of high clouds today as the jet stream is out of whack, but outside of that, not really too bad. A little on the windy side, however, tonight and most of the day Saturday. Saturday would be a good day to fly a kite. And by the way, with the breezy conditions on Saturday, that's a nice tie-in to our obscure holiday coming up in just a little bit. That's what we call it in this business, a tease. Something else we call in this business is a segue. That's when we move from one element to another element, and the best way to do that is take a commercial break. So we're going to take a 1 minute break. That's all, 60 seconds, maybe 59 and a half seconds, and then we'll come right back and give you your Friday morning news, if that's fair enough for you. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live this morning from Studio 1 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, agent here at Senior Insurances of North Central Washington, where we help our clients navigate the Medicare world. One of the things we really enjoy doing is teaching our clients about their rights. Like, did you know that if you have a traditional Medicare supplement, you can change that monthly all year long, regardless of prior health conditions? So if you'd like to know more about your options with Medicare, you can visit us at one of our 5 local offices, as well as give us a call at 888-2600.
My first experience with CVCH, I had to come in with my daughter by myself with a cut in my hand that required stitches. And the care and compassion of CVCH was really significant, that they took the care and compassion and made me feel more as a human instead of just a patient there. The care they have for their community all around, inside and outside the clinic, is what I feel like is different. And that's what makes me want to come back to CVCH and recommend them to my friends and family.
Welcome back. 10 minutes after the hour, we have just a few high clouds and 61 degrees. Quite a bit of sunshine today, a little breezy at times. Quite windy on Saturday, and then a warming trend begins on Sunday and Monday. Here's what's making headlines on this Friday. The primary election in Douglas County was certified on Tuesday, but one race remains too close to call. In Waterville, the 2 candidates seeking the second position on the November ballot remain in a virtual tie. Auditor Thad Duvall has scheduled a recount next Wednesday to decide who will run against top vote getter Jill Daling-Thompson for mayor of Waterville. Lloyd Smith's 1-vote lead over Charles Driver requires an automatic recount under state law. Well, a heads up from the Washington State Department of Transportation that beginning Monday, a DOT contractor is going to begin work on repairing and upgrading the wiring to those flashing beacons at the intersections of US 2 and 97 between Monitor and Dryden, something we're all familiar with. So during the work, the prepare to stop when flashing signs that we see, let you know when you come into an intersection on the highway, those are going to be covered, and they're going to have unlighted signs, which will be used during the work, which means that if you're driving there, you're not going to have those little warning signs that tell you be prepared to stop on the highway. So just a heads up on that. Those flashing beacons will not be operated. Those 5 intersections, there's 5 of them between Monitor and Dryden, are going to have their beacons shut off for repairs in the next couple of weeks. In other news, Chelan County Commissioners are reaffirming their opposition to a U.S. Park Service plan to reintroduce grizzly bears into the North Cascades wilderness. Last month, the Park Service announced the reopening of the public comment period. Former U.S. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke closed off the comment period without explanation last year. County Commissioner Doug England objected to the original plan when it was first proposed, and he and the board's position has not changed.
We have endangered species that we're involved with and working with now, and in many cases, the grizzly bear, to stick them in an area, an apex predator that eats other endangered species, is just creating a problem. And we feel that in partnership with Okanagan County, that we will try to step up and try to remind them of their responsibility and what we can do to make it a workable plan. And you know, when you're talking about introducing 200 grizzly bears, that's an awful lot of apex predator population to introduce into any area.
Commissioner England has plans to make the county's case against the grizzly bear plans next month when he travels to our nation's capital. Commissioners are also planning to set a date next month for a public forum on the matter. The public has until October 24th, by the way, to submit comments. Wenatchee Valley firefighters, including members of Chelan County Fire District Number 1 and Douglas County Fire District Number 2, are teaming up to show their continued support for the Muscular Dystrophy Association as its members kick off the annual Fill the Boot fundraising campaign. The event's goal is to raise critical funds to help transform the lives of kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related muscular debilitating diseases. It's a 65-year tradition. Dedicated firefighters hit the streets with boots in hand, asking pedestrians, motorists, customers, and passers-by to make a donation. They're going to be at the intersection of 9th Street and Valley Mall Parkway from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock tomorrow, August 24th. Since 1954, firefighters nationwide have raised more than $650 million for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Well, this Sunday, August 25th, is the 103rd birthday of the National Parks Service, and to commemorate that occasion, Sunday is a free day. You don't need a Discovery Pass on Sunday. That's not required if you want to visit parks in Washington State. If you can't make the Sunday free day, by the way, you've got 3 more free days this year: the National Public Lands Day on September 28th, Veterans Day on November 11th, and the day after Thanksgiving, November 29th. And it is Friday. What's going on this weekend? I don't know, but we pay Megan to tell us what's going on this weekend. Here's your weekend events.
Here's a look at what's on tap this weekend around the Wenatchee Valley. The NCW Fair is taking place now through Sunday at the Waterville Fairgrounds. Come enjoy the carnival, Indian relay race, food, vendor shopping, Big Bend Roundup, livestock sale, and more. New to the fair is Reptile Aisle, Beer Garden After Party, KKRV Dirt Dance Floor, and Battle of the Bands. Trivia Night with the Wenatchee Public Library is this Friday at 7 p.m. at Pybus Public Market. Librarians from Wenatchee Public Library host this fun night of trivia for teens and adults. Teams of 2 to 8 players compete for top prizes in this evening of challenging trivia. Snacks are provided by the Friends of the Wenatchee Public Library. Admission is free. Beat the heat with a family-friendly art class at the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center this Saturday from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Parents and children are invited to join in for interactive fun projects. The cost is $10 for one parent and one child. Additional children are $3 each. Space is limited and pre-registration is required. And finally, the Wenatchee Wine and Food Festival is this Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Town Toyota Center. Meet the winemakers and taste the award-winning wines, plus enjoy locally handcrafted distilled spirits, craft beers, and a wide selection of amazing food. It's the largest gathering of wineries in the region and the only professionally judged wine event dedicated to wines produced in Chelan, Douglas, Grant, and Okanagan counties. Entertainment will be provided by the Confluence Jazz Trio. Award-winning wines will be available for purchase to benefit the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. There are still general admission tickets available for $45 each. For more information on this weekend's events and others, visit the community calendar at ncwlife.com.
No lack of things going on this weekend, that's for sure. And again, head on up to the fair. It's fair time already. In fact, that's why I got this little thing right here. You like that? I visited the Douglas County PUD booth at the big hall, the big exhibition hall right inside the front gates at the fairgrounds in Waterville. Megan was there, Megan Vibert, my good friend, and they had this giveaway stuff. Plinko is what they did, and I won that prize. It's kind of cool, a little fan. Thought I'd throw it on the show. One other friendly reminder, a lot of people like to run errands and clean their yard and make maybe a trip to the transfer station. You're not doing it again this weekend. It's still closed. Remember, they had the fire way back on August 6th. They're originally hoping to have the transfer station on the south end of town reopen in a few days, but still is not open. So if you need to make a run to get rid of your garbage, you're going to have to go to the landfill itself, way there in East Wenatchee. But they do have special hours on Saturday because now you can't go to the transfer station. You have to go all the way up on Webb Avenue in East Wenatchee to take your garbage if you want to do that. So they're going to have special hours at the landfill in East Wenatchee on Webb Place on Saturday. It's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can take your trash to the landfill in East Wenatchee on Saturday. Also, you can always use the Dryden transfer station, but that's for residential garbage only. And don't forget, if you just have yard debris, you can take it to the Stimilt compost facility on the south end of town. Just want to give you a heads up on that. All right, 17 minutes after the hour, a quick break. When we come back, we got sports, the obscure holiday, today in history, birthdays. Everybody is entitled to Mike McDonough's opinion, and our conversation with Arch Ecker. We're getting ready for Wenatchee Wild Hockey. We're excited about it, and Arch is too. That interview coming up in the back half of the hour. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
So Pam, how's your mom doing?
She's okay. She's struggling. She'd like to stay in her house, and it's getting harder for her to do the daily chores.
What kinds of problems is she having?
Just basic house cleaning, taking care of her house, yard work, taking care of her medicine.
Mm-hmm. It does sound exhausting.
It is very exhausting, and I always worry about her.
Aging in Adult Care can assist you or your loved one to remain comfortably and safely in their own home. Contact them today to start the conversation.
We are back 19 minutes after the hour on this Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz, the ever-widening world of sports. Of course, last year in the Gridiron, Eastmont won the Big Nine title. They were 6-0 in league play. They finished the season 9-3 overall. Sunnyside second last year, 5-1 in league play. Wenatchee was third at 4-2 in league play. And Wildcat coach Michael Don says those three teams are probably going to do battle again this year to determine the champion.
High school football is always tough to figure out. When you're talking about 15 to 18-year-old kids, you never know. And so, but just looking off last year's stuff, I know Wenatchee's going to be tough. They got a lot of really good players back. That'll be a fun one. Sunnyside's going to be tough. Their coaching staff's done an amazing job over there. Their kids play hard. They're tough, hard-nosed kids that get after you, and they've got some speed. West Valley of Yakima's got a returning starter quarterback that started as a freshman for him half last year. He's a year-round quarterback kid, so he's going to be pretty good. And then after that, you're probably looking at Moses Lake, Ike and Davis, and don't know what they got coming up. But Moses Lake's got some good, young, talented kids who played last year, so we'll see what they can bring to the table this year.
Wenatchee Panther head coach Scott Devereaux says it's pretty cool to have two teams right across the river from each other being favored to win the Big Nine, but he says, hey, Eastmont is the defending champion, and you're going to have to make the Wildcats the preseason #1.
They won it last year, and until someone knocks them down a notch, then that's where they should be. Their offense, the wing tee, I think some teams in our league maybe haven't figured out quite how to defend it yet. I think we do a pretty good job with that. But, Sunnyside we saw at camp, they definitely are lacking a quarterback like they've had in the past, but they still have some great speed on defense. I've heard that West Valley had a good summer. They went to a camp somewhere and played really well. Their quarterback is new and a very good athlete. So we expect to see, them running some of that option stuff with that guy running the ball. And Moses Lake always has great numbers. I'm not sure what they have coming back. They lost their quarterback, who'd been a 3-year starter. So they might look a little different. Eisenhower's been down for a few years. Davis has a brand new coaching staff. So, when you look at the overall Big Nine, I like our chances.
Yeah, we're going to see how they stack up. A couple of Fridays from now, the Wenatchee Panthers will host Mount Si at Lee Boftel Field at the Apple Bowl. We'll have that game right here on the NCW Live channel. Eastmont will travel to Woodrow Wilson High. Woodrow Wilson, by the way, won't be at that game in Tacoma. Of course, we'll be following the Panthers and the Wildcats and all the local gridiron teams all fall along here on the NCW Live channel. The Wenatchee Wild, they begin their preseason schedule tonight. They're in Hope, British Columbia, taking on the Chilliwack Chiefs. They continue their trip tomorrow. They'll be taking on Langley, the Rivermen, and then they wrap up the weekend against the Express, the Coquitlam Express, of course, later on this very program. My conversation with Art Ecker will preview the upcoming Wenatchee Wild season. Camp is in full swing. Of course, the season begins in earnest a couple of weeks from now at Merritt, their first home game for the Wild, by the way, September 13th against Vernon. After a stint in the minors, Seattle's number 9 prospect, Justice Sheffield, will be back on the mound tonight when the Mariners open a weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Sheffield was 7-9 in AA and AAA with a 4.13 ERA since he was being sent down. He'll take on Trent Thornton of Toronto, who's 4-8 on the year, and a 5.30 ERA. And guess who's coming back on Saturday? Felix Hernandez. He gets his long-awaited return. He's been out. He's been on the injured list since May 11th with a bad shoulder. Former Apple Sox Marco Gonzalez, by the way, will take the ball for Scott Service's team to wrap up the series on Sunday afternoon. Let's take a look at the Les Schwab American League West scoreboard from last night. Alex Bregman hit a 2-run home run. Garrett Cole struck out 12 over 7 innings. Houston over Detroit, 6-3. Yoan Moncada and James McCann hit back-to-back home runs in a 4-run third inning to lead the White Sox over the Rangers 6-1. Ross Detweiler and 2 relievers combined to hold Texas to just 3 hits. And Oakland scored 5 early and held on to beat my Yankees 5-3, so the A's sweep the 3-game series from New York. No comment necessary there. Seahawks continue training camp at the VMAC in Renton. They're preparing for Game 3 of the preseason Saturday against the Chargers. Coach Pete Carroll says rookie receiver DK Metcalf underwent knee surgery on Tuesday, and things are looking good.
It was a minimal surgery and minimal findings. So we have high expectations. We'll go week to week with it and see how he does. And we really don't have any concern that he won't get back soon. So we're excited that we got it done. It was the kind of deal we could have put off and waited, but we thought we'd use the time frame that we had available, and hopefully it'll work out just right for us.
Do you have any more optimism to read on him being ready for the start of the regular season?
We're going to go week to week and just see what happens. And I don't think there's no indications that it's going to be a long return. It's going to be a shorter return than long. So we'll see how we can do with this and keep our fingers crossed for him.
Russell Wilson and the starting offense, by the way, are expected to see quite a bit of playing time tomorrow night. Carroll also says Geno Smith will see action as the backup quarterback, not Paxton Lynch.
Paxton's, we're going to hold him out this week. Didn't quite make it back yet, and passing all of the protocol and all. And we're just going to take care of him. I think it's a good idea. Geno needs to play a lot, and so it'll work out. But really, this is because we want to take care of Paxton. He took a nasty hit. His neck's still sore.
By the way, our very own Eric Granstrom will be down in Carson, California to produce the game broadcast on the Seahawks radio network. Eric and Steve Rabel is going to have a special guest in the booth tomorrow. Actor and comedian Joel McHale is going to join the gang to do color commentary throughout Saturday night's broadcast. McHale, of course, grew up in the Seattle area, graduated from Mercer Island High School and the University of Washington. He actually walked on as a tight end for the Huskies. I didn't know that. Of course, he hosts Talk Soup. He starred on Community, was most recently seen on Discovery Channel's Shark Week. He took to Twitter to announce the news.
Oh, hi everyone. It's me, Prince Harry, and I am here to announce that this Sunday I will be broadcasting on Seahawks Radio the entire Seahawks game with the legend Steve Rabel. That's right. Somehow the Seahawks have made a horrible mistake and are allowing me on the radio for the entire broadcast. It's a dream come true for me, and I'm sure a nightmare for a lot of Seahawks fans out there. But I am deeply excited, and I'll see you on Saturday. Seahawks versus Chargers. They'll be playing in a soccer stadium. All right. I'm so excited that I rented this creepy horror film motel room in Oklahoma. All right. See you on Saturday. Thanks, Steve. Go Seahawks.
Buckle your seatbelt, Eric. It's going to be a bumpy ride. The Seahawks radio network spans 67 stations in 6 states and 1 province. Yeah, they're in Canada, where they broadcast in the metric system. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Friday, 27 minutes after the hour. It's time for the obscure holiday. I talked about it's going to be a little breezy on Saturday. Well, today is Ride the Wind Day. It's a carefree day to soar above the earth. Just let the breeze take you where it wants to go. Float along like a gentle late summer cloud. Because, hey, summer's soon going to be over, you know. We're towards the back end of summer. So just relax and let the wind carry you wherever the wind wants to go. There's all kinds of ways to do it. You can fly in an airplane. You can fly in a hot air balloon. You can fly a kite. A lot of people tell me to fly a kite. Hang glide, take a motorcycle ride. You don't even need wind on a motorcycle ride. You make your own. Hop in a sailboat. Just kick back and enjoy a late summer day today or tomorrow or whenever to ride with the wind day. And that's your obscure holiday. It's 28 minutes after the hour. Let's do Today in History, shall we? Today in History. You must say that with the right amount of gravitas. October 23rd, 1784, 235 years ago, Western North Carolina, which is now Eastern Tennessee, declared itself an independent state and called themselves Franklin. There it is. There's the state of Franklin. It lasted for 4 years. It was never accepted into the United States. It's too bad. What happened? Well, after the Revolutionary War was all over in 1784, all of the states were supposed to pay their fair share of the debt for fighting the American Revolutionary War. And North Carolina said, we ain't got no dough, federal government. We got like nothing. You know, how about if we just cede some of our land over? Is that good enough to pay off our debt for the Civil War? That's what North Carolina asked Congress. And to make good on their promise, North Carolina just ceded that little area to call it Franklin and start a new state. And Congress said, no, write a check, make sure it clears the bank. So the small state of Franklin, which only lasted for 4 years, was founded on this date. Too bad it didn't take. Let's see, August 23rd, 1942, on an entirely different note, 77 years ago today, it was the beginning of the Battle of Stalingrad during World War II. It lasted 5 months, 1 week, and 1 day. When it was all over, 400,000 Nazis were either killed, wounded, or captured, but that was nothing compared to what the Soviets suffered. The Soviets suffered 1,129,000 total casualties. The Nazis seized and battled Stalingrad in one of the great and bloodiest battles of World War II. August 23rd, 1972, 47 years ago today, during the Republican National Convention in Miami Beach, Florida, Spiro T. Agnew, my all-time favorite vice president, bar none, was renominated for a second term as Vice President of the United States. He received all but 1 vote. He received 1,345 votes. The one person who didn't vote for Spiro T. Agnew voted instead for David Brinkley of the Huntley-Brinkley Report. David would have been a lot better vice president than Spiro T. Agnew ever was. And finally, 28 years ago today, happy birthday to the World Wide Web. There it is. August 23rd, 1991, the World Wide Web was opened to the public. www.happybirthdayWWW.www. 28 years ago today. All right, it's the bottom of the hour. We got birthdays. Let's see, 3 historic birthdays to get to. You gotta hand it to Louis XVI of France. You really do. You gotta hand it to this guy. He was born on this date in 1754. And when you think about, there was a continuous French monarchy for over 1,000 years, and this guy blew it. He was the last king of France, of course, the only king of France to be executed, off with his head. The French were getting pretty tired of the monarchy anyway. It was probably inevitable, but Louis XVI of France, who was born in this state in 1754, took a thriving monarchy and drove it right into the ground. The last king of France was born in the state in 1754. You blew it, King Louis. Gene Kelly was born in the state in 1912, the legendary actor, singer, and dancer. Died at the age of 83 back in 1996. Always best known for probably Singing in the Rain, but An American in Paris, Anchors Away. He choreographed all of his own dance routines, even though he didn't get credit for it. And he never won an Academy Award. That's hard to believe. He got an honorary Academy Award, but he was nominated for Best Actor a couple of times, but he never won an Academy Award. It was hard to believe that. And by the way, the very last movie he ever made, Xanadu, one of the worst motion pictures ever. Every copy of Xanadu needs to be burned. But we love Gene Kelly, and we miss him. He was born in the state in 1912. Keith Moon, the greatest drummer in rock and roll history. Thank you very much. I'll fight anybody to the death who says otherwise. Keith Moon, the drummer of The Who, born in the state in 1946, died, of course, at the age of 32, cause of death being Keith Moon. He was the greatest rock and roll drummer of all time. The guy was just incredible. Although I have some interesting facts about Keith Moon, he hated drum solos and refused to play them. He never used a hi-hat. A hi-hat is a basic part of a drum kit. Keith Moon never used one, didn't need it, and he always insisted when he performed with The Who that his drum kit be placed on the stage and not on risers. He wanted to be on the stage with his bandmates. The legendary Keith Moon, born in the state of 1946. And finally, a basketball player you may have heard of, Kobe Bryant, is 41 years old today. He went right from high school, right to the NBA, right to the Lakers, played all 20 years with the LA Lakers. He won 5 NBA championships, 18 times an All-Star, and Kobe Bryant became the first guard in the history of the National Basketball Association to play 20 seasons. Pretty impressive. Kobe Bryant is 41 years old today, and life is good for him. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, everybody is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion, and then my conversation at the Town Toyota Center with Art Ecker, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. Let's strap on the skates and get ready for more Wild hockey. That's all coming up between now and the top of the hour. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 3 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
Some jobs take more than skill. They require something deeper, an innate devotion to the communities in which we live. At Gisa Credit Union, we help you support law enforcement, firefighters, teachers, and veterans. With every purchase you make with a Gisa Local Heroes Affinity debit card, we make a donation to select organizations. After all, we can never repay them, but we can do our best to help a little. With the Gisa Local Heroes Affinity debit card.
My name is Ralph Sorensen, and I own Homestead Vinyl Products. We make vinyl fencing. We manufacture the vinyl fencing here. We also sell and install vinyl fencing.
Along with that, Homestead Vinyl Products sells cedar, chain link, custom-designed vinyl pergolas, arbors, gazebos, and ornamental fencing. To view complete projects, check their website, homesteadvinylpr.net, or stop by their showroom in Entiat on Highway 97A.
My name is Anaisa Lemus, and I teach at John Newberry Elementary. I had a tooth in the front that was just always causing me problems. It was just happening so regularly. I went to go get a root canal done, and the root canal didn't help a whole lot because when it came back, both of my parents went to Dr. Divis's office. They really recommended him because he had done such a great job on their teeth. I went and really have had a really pleasant experience with him. He just made me feel really at ease with everything. He was really confident with what he was doing. He said, this is one of his favorite parts of his job, which really made it easier for me because, when you're really passionate about something, they're going to do a good job. As a teacher, my students, I'll tell them randomly sometimes, oh yeah, with my fake tooth, they're always so shocked. Like, what? It looks like your real tooth. And I'm really happy with the results now.
This is Dr. John Divis. Please call us today.
The best pizza in the known universe is right here in downtown Chelan, so come on up. For the best locally crafted beer and barbecue in Chelan, come on up.
For the best down-home scratch country cooking in North Central Washington, you'll find it in Manson. Come on up.
Come on up. Come on up.
Come on up.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around North Central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, many Christians today share the perception that society is deteriorating, and that's evidence that we are in the end times. Well, I don't deny some nasty stuff is going on nowadays, but I do feel a lot of this deterioration is just the natural progression of human nature, which has always been problematic. Now, I contend that in many ways, society is improving. Now, not perfect yet by any means, but improving. For example, recognition of our need to acknowledge and stand up against domestic abuse and domestic violence. Our acknowledgement and willing to deal with the abuse of our children. Our increased recognition of and the respect for the rights of the disenfranchised. Also, an improvement is an increased recognition of the respect of women's rights and their role in our society. And like him or not, the fact that this country matured enough to elect a black man for president. Now maybe, just maybe in some ways, we're moving in the right direction. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. The gentleman to my immediate left needs no introduction. Nobody has been on this program more often than the man himself.
I bet you're going to give me one anyway, though.
It's Art Checker, the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, and I have not been able to see this guy all summer long because, well, he's a busy dude. But
yeah, and you've been all over, with your tour of Greece and the cruise and the Mediterranean thing you were doing.
Yeah,
you're all over the place. It's hard to keep up with you.
Summer in Nice. So
how's your golf handicap coming along?
I haven't been playing as much as I want to.
Not as much as you want to. Who really plays as much as they want to? See, there's no in between. You either play as much as you want to, and that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. You either play, I wish I was playing more golf, or I am sick of playing golf, which the guys, like the pros on the tour, they're like, God, I wish I had a day off. Mm-hmm. So nobody ever really finds the happy medium. Yeah, I know.
You made a good point there.
Every now and then I'll do that. I'll make a good point.
You'll make a good point. It's a rarity. It's a treat. How you doing, buddy? How's your summer going?
It's okay. It's a hectic summer, and you know what? It was a little bit longer than we would have liked. Of course, the year before, we're saying, God, a little bit shorter because we went so deep in the playoffs 2 years ago. And last year we had a respectable run, won the first 2 rounds and it finally just ended up coming up short in the conference finals. But yeah, that summer, it doesn't matter. It goes quick.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it. And, and it's busy. People think, oh, well, what do you guys do all summer? You just lounge around and, go play golf in the Mediterranean and whatnot. like with Kuntz. I'm like, no, I don't go hang out with Kuntz all summer.
Yeah.
But
You're working.
We're busy.
There is some downtime. I know you get to do a little bit of traveling, but for the most part, your job requires you. I mean, you're working 50 weeks out of the year.
Very much so. And the whole staff, it's that way. For the coaches, for example, they're recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're recruiting now for next year. I mean, it's a 12-month pursuit for them. As far as the rest of the office staff, they're busy preparing with season ticket sales. The advertising things that have to be put into place, like you see on the rink behind me, those logos that are in the ice. Well, every one of those logos represents an agreement that has to be reached. It represents production of the actual ice logo artwork to be done, to be delivered and installed. I mean, all of those things take time, and when you start adding them up, holy cow, you need more summer.
Yeah, May becomes June, June becomes July, and then all of a sudden it's camp time. Camp opened on Monday. Right down the hallway from the is everybody in camp now? Everybody who was invited or is trying out for the team, is everybody here?
Yeah, and that's always, with travel being what it is, there's always someone loses a bag along the way or someone's flight gets rerouted, and sometimes it can be a bit of it can be a little hairy trying to get everybody to report to camp on time. But we were ready to go bright and early at 7:30 on Monday morning. When Bliss and the coaches had the guys assembled in a room, everyone that was expected to be there was there with, a pencil sharpened and minds focused and ready to go.
For the first 2 or 3 days of camp, what goes on? And the reason I bring this is because you guys are playing hockey this weekend, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The very first game, and the preseason game, is only after 4 or 5 days of camp. So the first couple of days, what's going on camp-wise as far as the coaches and the players are concerned?
And what's funny about that, too, is, we're starting early, but there are other teams that played as early as Wednesday night.
Wow.
So they come in for a couple of days, and then, bam, they're right after it. So, it's a quick turnaround, but it kind of has to be. I mean, you don't have much time, but right after Labor Day is the first game of the regular season. We happen to open on the road, but at any rate, getting back to your question, what happens the first few days of camp? And it's interesting that you bring it up. You think about baseball, and one of the things that people talk about in baseball, they talk about getting back to fundamentals when players don't lay bunts down properly and, maybe they don't use 2 hands on a routine pop fly, those kind of things. Well, fundamentals are key, and really I think the first couple of days, there's a lot of that. They do what they call edge work, for example, and it looks goofy, but the guys are doing these weird little twists and turns, but it's all about just getting those edges underneath you, and those kind of rudimentary skills are what serve you well in battle situations, in corners and in the neutral zone. So we kind of start off with that, getting the feet underneath them, getting the flow going. There's a lot of end-to-end stuff, a lot of, touching the puck, right? You got to pass here to pass there. And so, you kind of get that feel going. You start to understand your teammates a little bit more. You're getting the blood flowing, the legs moving. That's half the battle. And the other half of the battle is to start introducing, your systems and your terminologies. Football is, a good equivalent. People talk about that with different offenses. And, in hockey, it's kind of the same. I mean, every sport has, certain things that you kind of, they're not going to change a whole lot, but the terminology can change. And so sometimes you call it an X this, somebody else might call it a Red Wing that, and so you don't understand. You have to start adapting to what your new surroundings call for and what your returning players are already acclimated to. And, all of those things kind of get rolled into one fell swoop over the course of camp. And so even though, they'll spend a couple hours on the ice on a given day, twice this week they did 2-a-days. But beyond that, they're pulling pretty close to 12-hour days because when they're not on the ice, there's gym time.
Yep.
And there's classroom time, and video time. So there's a lot going on.
We're going to stay with the baseball analogy because I like it so much. In the old days, spring training was about showing up to get in shape for the season. Those days are gone. You're expected to show up day one at camp in shape and in condition and ready to skate. So that's something else that needs to be brought up. All of these guys aren't coming in on Monday and they're gassed by 3 hours out on the rink, right?
Yeah, absolutely. At this level anymore, it's probably true, to some extent at the pro level. Oh, once you start getting pro, they got their unions.
Yeah.
But, if you show up not in shape, you're not going to stay.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
showing up in shape demonstrates that you have the commitment to what you're doing to stay focused over the course of a summer, and that you show up ready to work. That's what that goes a long way as far as proving your mettle. You know, you show up out of shape, there's a big red flag. It's like, what'd you do? Did you take this opportunity for granted? And then that's that. And, you know, those things tend to kind of work themselves out, right? We took them off payroll. It just kind of worked itself out.
Well, we're going to divvy this up into two parts of this conversation. We're going to talk about some of the newcomers that are working their way through camp from all over North America. We even got a new player who's from Finland, as a matter of fact, who's joining the Wild this year. But let's talk about first their returners, and these names are very familiar to Wild fans, specifically Murphy and Matt, who've been with the team. This will be now their third go-round with the team. They know what it's like to lift the cup. They've been there. They've done that. Talk about this first talk about the returning players that the fans know so well.
Well, a couple that you touched on. First off, you know, Matt Dorsey, the local kid from Wenatchee, literally, you know, played his youth hockey here, grew up playing here, and then he moved away, and you know, he played in Calgary briefly in the Western Hockey League, found his way back to us, and well, I'll tell you what, he's a big-time player.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch him play, and even the novice, you don't have to be a hockey fan to know. When you sit there and watch a game, you see Matt Dorsey and the way he skates and carries himself on the ice, he's just a different cat. I mean, he's kind of a cut above, and he's really fun to watch. So we're excited to have him back.
Murphy's back. And
Murphy Stratton has come back as well. Boy, you know, Murphy, what an incredible summer. Now, we're going to hear more about this over the course. And, in fact, you know what, we'll get Murphy on to visit with you.
Please
he
do.
can tell you.
Give us a little tease, though.
And get a little tease. Well, he was rostered as a tight end by the University of California, the Golden Bears.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Then he decided football was not his thing, and he wanted to come back to play hockey.
Good.
So now he had the commitment to North Dakota. Then he ended up playing football, and he went to the camp, and he was there for like 3 weeks. And he's like, hey, Bliss, what's up? So anyway, so Murphy's back, and we're excited to see him. You know, he's a Los Angeles kid that's got, you know, he really hasn't even come close to realizing his potential yet.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what he's shown has been good, but he's not even scratched the surface. So we're really excited about what he'll bring to us this year.
And Drake is going to be back guarding the blue line, doing his thing.
Yeah, he's another one. He's had some injury troubles over last year. I think last year we expected him to probably have a lot bigger role than he did. That he was kind of banged up for part of it, and you know, he's back for his third year. And he is, you know, the book on him, the coaches say that he's one of those players that he just makes the right decision. And boy, I'll tell you, that's one of those things you can't coach. You know, when guys have a good hockey sense. I mean, you can teach a lot, but hockey sense, you either have it or you don't at this level, right? And Drake is one of those kids that definitely has it. So we're excited. Those are the three third-year returners.
And then there's other 2-year returners, but we're not going to have enough time to talk about them. But we're going to have a lot of these players on between now and hopefully a deep run into the playoffs throughout the course of the 2019-2020 Wenatchee Wild season. Arch, you're going up to Chilliwack immediately, right? I mean, you guys you're leaving this afternoon for the bus, and you got games tonight and then Saturday at Chilliwack and then Langley. How does this work from a coaching, and does everybody go and everybody play? Because this is the first time you're strapping on skates and you're not scrimmaging against your other teammates. You're actually taking on somebody else. How does that work when you play games this early in the year with a roster that's in flux?
Well, you know, everyone will go, and in the preseason, I think they allow you to dress an extra person. You're normally allowed to suit 20 on any regular game night, and I think they allow you to suit 21, so you can kind of just get an extra look at someone. And we're actually playing 3 games this weekend, so we've got the Chilliwack game, which is actually not even played in Chilliwack. It's in Hope, British Columbia, which is a neighboring community about 45 miles away, which whatever that is in kilometers, right? And then at Langley in their regular building, and then on Sunday afternoon we're playing Coquitlam, but we're playing them in Delta, BC.
Okay.
So anyway, with 3 games being played over the course of the weekend, you know, there'll be plenty of opportunity for everyone to get a good ice time and get good looks.
And they're probably just dying to check somebody else besides themselves into the boards, right?
Well, you know, yes,
Yeah.
that's certainly true, and you know, for a few guys, you know, just like the NFL, I mean, you got to show something. This is your opportunity. Prove to us why you belong here. And here you are, game situation. Let's go.
Art Checker is the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, back for your third season. Is that right? Or
this is my fourth
season
here now in Wenatchee.
We talked about some of the returners. When we come back on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, we're going to talk about some of the new players, the new blood that's coming into town. A couple of these names jump out at me, and some of these guys are big, strong, strapping dudes. They kind of remind me a little bit of me, really. Archie.
Yeah, I look at those guys and I think immediately to myself, those guys in no way resemble Dan Kuntz. So in that way, they remind me of you.
There you go. More with Art Checker when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel. Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan Kuntz alongside the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild, Art Checker. We're here at the Town Toyota Center. The ice is down. It's been down now for a few weeks, but of course the guys aren't actually practicing on the ice. You're practicing at the rink next door.
Right.
Why is that, by the way?
Well, the reason is you may recall a couple of weeks ago they had an event here. It was a national figure skating championship. Now, when figure skaters perform, they don't like all the lines and all the advertisements on there.
They like a nice clean surface with no graphics on it.
Right. So they built this ice surface here and painted the lines in. And then the next step was to build the ice up a little bit thicker. Then they paint a clean coat of white paint and then freeze that in with more water. So that way the figure skaters had that nice, clean, pristine sheet to skate on. Well, then what happens? They have to shave that all down, right? Well, they get it shaved down. Now the ice becomes too thin to actively skate on, especially when you're a hockey team.
Yeah.
And so then they went through and they put in the last of the advertisements in the ice and whatnot. And then there's the process of slowly building it back up to an appropriate depth. And once that's reached, the guys will be able to skate on it, and then off we go.
I asked Mark Miller when he was on my show a couple of weeks ago. He told me how many miles of pipe it takes to make the ice, and it was a number that just blew me away. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a tubing that it runs. It kind of crisscross all the way back and forth across underneath the ice surface, and there's a glycol solution that's pumped through there, and that's what cools the concrete down to about 14 degrees or so, and that's what freezes the ice. So, if you think about it, I mean, ambient room temperature is going to make it pretty soft, so you have to have that chilling factor underneath to keep the ice at a playable temperature, which they like to keep around, I believe, like 20 degrees or so, maybe 21. But it's impressive. If you ever see it undone, it'd blow your mind.
Before we get into the new players, and I promise we'll get that, one last question for you. Is the rink here at the Town Toyota Center, from a league perspective, is it considered a fast rink, a slow rink? Because each rink, even though they all have the exact same dimensions, has its own little personality, its own little quirks. Is this a fast track, a slow track? What would you call it?
I think it can vary, and that's mostly due to the fact that it's a multi-use facility, and there are a few in the league that are. There are a few others that are, dedicated ice rinks, and that's all they do is play hockey in them. And sometimes those ones can tend to be a little bit, quote, faster, as you might put it. Merritt is a good example because it's always about, 300 degrees below zero in there, and so the ice tends to be pretty quick. The staff here, I think they do a really good job at managing the ice to the best that they can. But then again, when you have nights where you cover it up with a concert or whatever else might be happening to go on, that's tough on the ice.
Yeah.
And it takes a keen hand and it takes a bit of luck, to really make it all come together. So, it can vary. There's nights in here where people rave about the ice surface and they go, God, the ice is really, really fast tonight. And there's other times where it can feel a little bit slockish, and it's a little bit of a.
Could you say slockish on TV?
I don't know, but I'm sure I'll get something in the mail if I can't.
We just did. We keep getting off topic, and we're running out of time. We got some new players coming in. A couple of them caught my. Anytime you get a defenseman who likes to put the puck in the back of the net, that's like a bonus player. And I'm talking about Tanner, who's going to be joining the team this year.
Yeah, Tanner Main comes to us from Ontario. He had played at St. Catherine's School. We've had a couple of few defensemen that have really been good at lighting the lamp. Cooper Zek, obviously. Chad Sasaki recently just set a record for the franchise record for goal scoring. And Tanner Main, he's going to be one of those guys, I think, that, he makes a name for himself in real short order here. And, beyond Tanner, I mean, we've got a whole lot of new bodies coming in, which is always the case. People always want to know how many people are coming back. and how are you possibly going to, replace? I mean, we've done it year after year, right? I mean, when they said it when Brendan Harris and Charlie Combs left, they're like, oh my God, how are you guys? And Dakota Raby and all those guys are gone. What are you going to do? Oh, we came back and won the cup the next year, right? And I mean, you just never know.
Yeah.
And especially with this coaching staff we've got and their wisdom and
stability. The kids know when they're being recruited by Bliss, and you talked about Bliss is already recruiting for next year, even though they haven't even started this year. They know that Clarkey and Coach Littler and everybody else is going to be there, that the people who want them to come to play Wenatchee are going to be there when they show up a year from now.
Well, and you know what? And it's a buyer's market for the players. And they are here because they want to get to the next level. And they know that Wenatchee is an outstanding place to achieve that goal because we've done it year in, year out. And so they put their faith and trust in Bliss and Clarkey and Lee to help them reach those goals. And we, for the most part, help them get there. So, some of the other players coming in, getting back to your original question, there's a couple right off the top that we acquired over the summer. Now, Dallas Farrell is going to be one of them. He played last year for the Coquitlam Express. Interestingly, he was traded to the Surrey Eagles, never laced him up for Surrey. It was kind of a paper transaction. And one of our players from last year, Christophe Tellier, we dealt him to Surrey in exchange for Dallas Farrell. And he's a pretty exciting electric player from Eastern Canada that is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And another key addition will be goaltender Daniel Chenard. Now, he made a name for himself in this league when he backstopped Chilliwack to the Royal Bank Cup championship, and he had a phenomenal season. And, part of the reason I think we were able to get him is because Chilliwack found themselves, with a pretty healthy stock of a couple of good goaltenders. Mathieu Caron is returning for them, and he will be their number one. And Chenard is a goaltender that deserves to be a number one somewhere. And so, with respect to that, he was allowed to. Well, he was brought here by trade for future accommodations or whatnot, or however they phrase that in coach
player to be named
legalese.
later, whatever that means.
But Chenard has got he's got an impressive resume, so it'll be fun to watch him go. And then beyond that, I mean, holy smokes, Brett Chorsky.
Yeah, give me a couple more before, because we're running out of time.
Brett Chorsky, you won't miss him. He's 6'6" tall.
Oh, and then you strap on the skates, and that bumps you up another 3 inches or so.
He's ginormous. So, and he's from Edina, Minnesota. Our other goaltender, Noah Altman, he's from Southern California. He's 6'7".
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So we got a few guys with a little bit of height to him. Drew Bavaro on defense should be a guy that's fun to watch. We got twins coming in, second time in franchise history with a set of twins. It's Blake and Quinn Emerson. Their dad's a former NHLer. There's a few guys. We'll get to that over the course of the season with NHL pops along the way. But let's see, Tyler Young is another guy that's going to come in as a forward. He should be fun. Noah Etter, who has played a lot of his career in Switzerland growing up, and now he and his mom have a home in California. So Noah Etter should be a lot of fun. He was a guy that really caught my eye in camp.
You sound excited. You sound like you're ready to go. You're ready to. You sound like you want to strap on the skates and go get them.
Yeah, I've watched the guys in practice a little bit, and most of them were here in our camp in May, and so I got my first look at them then, and it was interesting then because you're always looking at, we had 80 guys here roughly, and you're like, oh, okay, which ones are going to come back? And a lot of the guys that really caught my eye then are here now, so. It's going to be an exciting season. I know that, I've got all the faith in the world in Bliss and company to assemble a quality team, but, you just watch it, and it's no longer surprising, but you still look at these guys and their development with a bit of wonderment.
Couple more questions before we cut you loose. I know you're busy and we're busy. Billet families. How are we on host families for the not only for the Wenatchee Wild, but some of the junior players who are coming in and honing their hockey skills? Are we okay? Do we need more host families?
There's always a need for host family because even when you have enough, sometimes life situations change, and people that have been billets suddenly they're not billets anymore. Whether some of the kids have grown up or whatever, they move on and plus, we've added a new team to our development structure this year in the U15 level, which is going to be called the Wenatchee Warriors. So that's a billeted program also. So we got the U18s, now we got the U16s, U15s, U14s. So there's 3 billeted programs, 2 of the developments, ones plus the Wild. So that's 3 full hockey teams we're trying to find homes for. So the best bet, if you're interested in billeting, is always to call the office and ask for either Chris Clark or Kyle Brody at 888-7825.
And asking for billeted families, what do I get besides a hockey player? I mean, obviously, I have a spare bedroom, and he's more than welcome. I mean, what are some of the perks of being a billeted family?
Well, there's a small monthly stipend, but you're providing food for the players, so you'll go through that in your first visit to the grocery store, pretty sure. But and there's other discounts on merchandise and deals on tickets and all that stuff. So, but it's not something you get into because you're trying to make a buck or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's something you do that when you're looking to give back to the community, and and these players,
They become family, don't they?
Oh,
A lot
they
of
truly
them.
do.
Yeah.
And they're not just helping their own selves. I mean, they really do give back. Every player gives back at least 100 hours over the course of a season to the community. Every player.
Yeah.
So that's a lot.
And keep in mind that for you potential billet families out there, they're also here a lot. It's not like they're just hanging around the house playing video games. They're full bore hockey. Anything else that's on your mind? Because we're just about out of time, Archie. Anything else you want to touch on while I have you here?
Well, Kids Day is coming up on Wednesday, September 4th. That's a free event. And the doors open at 5:30. There's going to be plenty of activity on the concourse. The guys will play a scrimmage out on the ice. Elbow the Clown will be here. The bouncy houses and all kinds of fun stuff, free T-shirts and whatnot. That's happening on Wednesday. And then, of course, the home opener on September 13th against the Vernon Vipers. There's going to be a lot going on. Live music out front. There's going to be food out front catered by Beyond Creations, which is our in-house catering. Burger baskets and beer specials and all of that. So, yeah, lots going on. For more information, you can always just call our office or stop by 888-7825 or just come see us in the office. It's right down the hall here.
Yep. It's good to see you, Arch.
You too,
yeah,
as
we're
always.
going to be doing this all hockey season long like we've always been doing. We'll be setting up, coming down here to the Town Toyota Center. We'll be talking to players. We'll have Clarkey and Coach Littler and everybody else associated with the Wenatchee Wild. The one constant will always be Arch and me because I just can't get enough of that wonderful Arch Ecker. I just can't.
That's understandable. I don't fault you for it.
Go Wild. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.